Hello, welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for the second panel of the day. I'm thrilled, of course, that to have the panel, but also to hand over to Ivor to chair this today from the other city I love, which is Cape Town. Ivor is a participant in the Leaders program last year and this year. He's continuing with his masters, but he comes to us. Many of those in South Africa will know him as the face of TV news for a long time, but also at SABC, but also know him as the founder of one of the most exciting media startups, Foodform Mzansi, and he can tell you more about himself and our fantastic panel today. Ivor, thank you. You're very welcome. And please, over to you.
Thank you, Francois. In the next 45 minutes, we will gain insights from diverse markets, from Georgia to Jordan and the UK. Welcome to our discussion on leadership lessons from a diverse world. And our panelists, quite distinguished, Nata, Dzvelishvili, Ghada, Ammar, and Jacqui Merrington. They each bring a unique perspective shaped by their experiences in different corners of the globe. And our format is a little bit different from the first session. Our panelists will each be delivering a short introduction, offering a glimpse into their personal and their professional journeys. And following those presentations, we will engage in an interactive session, providing you also with the opportunity to pose questions and participate in what is hopefully a dynamic dialogue. Let's kick off in Jordan with Ghada Ammar. She's a producer and news anchor at AlMamlakaTV, and the journey in the media industry reflects a commitment to excellence in broadcasting and quite a nuanced understanding of the complexities within the Middle East. Thank you for joining us, Ghada. Over to you.
Thank you, Ivor. Hello, everyone. I'm really excited to join you today. I will start with an introduction as a presentation that following the instructions, we're a little bit slightly different from the previous panel, so allow me to share my screen. I'll stick to the 4 minutes, Ivor. I hope so. Okay, so basically, I come from a background that has a combination between media and communication. I have almost 15 years of experience in broadcast media, NGO communications. The focus was mainly through those years was strategic communication, public relations, and media management. With all that said, this really parallel streams were working together. Whenever at the beginning, when I started my journey, I started in the Jordanian markets. There was a huge separation between the media and between communications. I always saw that there is a complementary role between both, because I always felt that the communications person is someone who's functioning as an in-house journalist, and your work revolves around both. So basically, I started with that stream between both, moving from NGOs communications and as a media person in presenting journalism, broadcasting, radio, and so on, which I will be highlighting in the next slide. So basically, this is where I am. And moving forward, I will start with my media experience. It started with Ru'ya TV. It was one of the first channels here in Jordan as a private sector. It started in 2011, and it was an entertaining kind of news channel. So it's combined between both, and I had the opportunity to work there for 8 years. It gave me the platform to explore really this kind of experience. And after that, I shifted from Ru'ya TV to BBC Arabic, where I worked in the regional office and also in the BBC Arabic radio. Unfortunately, after almost 2 years, there was a decision to close the Arabic radio in the Middle East, and we ended up with a digital and the website only. And that was an end of a journey that I really admired, because it gave me the exposure to the international aspect and the international kind of perspective, where you really handle news on the national, local level, and then move and shift the scale up a little bit, and you see what's going around, and you just start looking differently and seeing things and narratives differently. After the BBC, I shifted to AlMamlakaTV, where I'm currently now, which is a public broadcast channel that was established and launched in 2018. It was the first in Jordan and still one of its kind because it's the only news channel that is really providing news platform that fully focused on the local context and really reaching and tackling some of the regional and international context as well. I must say, adding to the media experience, I had an experience before when I first graduated in a TV that's called ATV. Unfortunately, this TV was shut down by the government on the first day of its launching. I believe I would say only about that, Jordan was not ready yet to just explore this space where it can have its own independent news platform, but eventually we reached that path. As a communications expert, I had the opportunity to work in several NGOs with different funds, moving from USAID, EU, UK aid, different funding, where I managed to experience and implement different advocacy techniques in regards of different campaigns, media communication, the introduction of some and the implementation of the production of awareness-raising series. We used all types of tools that were the first in Jordan, and this had really a unique experience because we could explore the impact and the process of the implementation while you're really recapping and capturing the audiences as receivers and the results in the key messages that you are trying to communicate. I had a chance also in working in positioning and branding in general, and one of the unique experiences that I had in that path was delivering training to media people and journalists about what we call sensitive journalism towards conflict, photojournalism. But that topic in particular was one of the first on the local level because it was an exploration to what we mean by conflict and the aspects surrounding that in different contexts. Today, as Ivor mentioned, I'm at AlMamlakaTV. I work as a producer and a news anchor. Usually, I am the person who's responsible, among other team members, for breaking coverages, anything that is really providing immediate and continuous reporting on unfolding and urgent events, like the case that we've been on for the past almost 130 days after the start of the war on Gaza. I have a steady and stable news periods and segment called News at 6, where we present current affairs and anything regarding the regional aspects. 1 hour for the local news, 1 hour focused on the regional and international news. And I work as an international correspondent where I travel and report for any international events, any activities regarding the royal family, regarding our government, whenever it's needed, working on that aspect. For the future, aspirations, honestly, or whatever I'm really looking for, especially why I joined the program. I think I'm someone who's passionate about really leveraging technology, but understanding also what technology and innovation means, because we have different understanding and different shared definitions. However, yet when it comes to implementation, Jordanian context is very unique when it comes to complexity and the nature of the audience. I will be explaining more on the panel itself. However, I think I am on that journey of exploration and I'm resuming my academic journey in the Media Innovation and Leadership program. I'm listing below eventually, sorry for the misformatting. The V is the continues the words of AlMamlakaTV. Those are our platforms. We would love from you to follow us and like us. We just love the attention. Thank you, and over to you, Ivor.
Thank you, Ghada. We will definitely be liking your platforms. Fascinating to hear about your your leadership journey, championing sensitive journalism towards conflict. And my mind is blown to hear that the royal family is as big news in Jordan as it is in South Africa. I'll get to the questions shortly, but let's shift our focus from the Middle East to Eastern Europe, where Nata, one of my former classmates, she's the dynamic CEO of Indigo magazine in Georgia. She has not only navigated the intricacies of the media landscape, but has done so in a region that is rich in history and diversity. And the insights promise to offer a unique blend of cultural awareness and leadership acumen. Nata, over to you.
Thank you for having me here today. I'm really glad to see you and other familiar faces here and this innovation studio. I really miss it. So I am Nata. I am from Georgia. Currently I'm a CEO at Indigo magazine, but prior to this I served as a director at Georgian Charter of Journalistic Ethics, which is self-regulatory body of media, which unites approximately 300 member journalists. So I am experienced in managing and leading companies who are profitable and non-profitable. So it is quite a different experience, and I am really happy that I had the chance to manage both type of organizations. So currently, as I mentioned, I am leader of Indigo, which is a print and online magazine in Georgia, mostly focused on cultural and social issues. And we do not cover news, but we try to find some new angles beyond the news. And this statement is our mission and the motto. And I try to unite my journalists and contributors with this under this statement that we create powerful stories that provoke new ideas and trigger changes. And we really believe it, and we try to do so. So when I joined the Indigo, it was a company who had no vision, no business model. It was just a group of friends, and there was not any structure of organization. And I took it as a professional challenge because I loved their product. It was very high quality product, and I decided that if I help this organization, then it will be a kind of achievement in my career. So I joined this team in 2019, at the end of the 2019, and after 3 months, pandemic came in our life. So the situation was totally dramatic, but I managed that currently our turnover is increased by 150%. Staff members are increased, and the scale of the project, the number of the project are not comparable anymore. And what we do and what is innovation in our media landscape is that we do not have staff members. We have only 10 person in-house, but we create content through our contributors and freelancers. As we do not have much resources, we decided that in the center is a topic. For example, if we would like to cover healthcare issues, we will contract a person who is very experienced and capable for this topic. And quality is our core value, and we try to experiment as it is like we are open for changes, you know, and it helps us to be innovative. And I think that in newsrooms, it's crucial that people to call the people who are open for changes. We would like to be innovators, not only in terms of the storytelling, but also in our business model. As for storytelling, we receive approximately 23 prizes in local level, but most of them are for innovative works. So we try to be trend makers in our market. But as for business models, we are first media outlet in Georgia who implemented paywalls, who created mobile application, and we created also a production group, and we offer commercial videos for commercial companies. Actually, it was my final assignment in our program, and I started to do it, and we already have a huge number of the revenue from this stuff. And we also have print production service to commercial companies. And we are the first Georgian magazine which is distributed in 7 countries. And what does it mean when you're CEO at the small company? It means that you are a strategic leader. You should have the strategic vision and know everything. literally everything, starting with fundraising, project management, ended with social media management, and content production, engagement, how to engage people. Of course, I do not manage social media, but I know how it works, and I know how to monitor persons. And when you have the lack of resources, you try to know everything. But the good point is that we have flexibility. So we do not need to send thousands of letters to financial department or HR department. I don't know even the names. But when we would like to do something, we have flexibility to do it tomorrow, not the end of the year. So that's why we say that we enjoy to work here, and we are here until we are happy. And otherwise, we will not continue working in Indigo. And as Gen Z say, another day, another sleigh. So
thank you so much, Nata. I missed that space too there in Preston. It's lovely to see you doing such amazing stuff in 7 different countries with such a big pool of freelancers. And I'm sure there are many, many questions about it. So another former classmate, product of the Journalism in Leadership program is Jacqui Merrington, and we're still together in the master's class suffering for our sins. Jacqui is the visionary founder of The Happy Journalist. Her impact extends beyond traditional journalism. She champions positive and inclusive approach, placing a particular emphasis on green issues and sustainability in the media. Jacqui, over to you.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you very much, Ivor. And it's great to be among friends and former classmates and new as well. Really interested in what you described there, Nata and Ghada, as well, in terms of what you're doing. So I'm Jacqui Merrington. I've been a journalist for 20 years now, and mostly in the regional space in the UK. So I worked in regional television briefly. I worked for the Press Association at the very start of my career, and I've worked across a lot of the regional sites owned by Reach across the country over the past 5 to 10 years. I launched a number of new sites as part of my role within Reach. I was based in the Southwest and launched Cornwall Live, which has gone on to become a really successful site within Reach's portfolio. And I worked across all the Southwest sites, and then went on to have a role across Reach's live network, developing SEO strategy, working on new audience development, working on reaching out to and engaging with diverse audiences across our live network. I'm actually now working for Mail Metro Media. So I've gone into the national space, and I'm working in a role, Ghada, you talked about bridging communications and editorial. My role here is about bridging commercial and editorial. So you know, that's something that I've gone into as a really different space for me, but enables me to keep learning. And as Ivor said, and Nata, I was with both Ivor and Nata on the Journalism Innovation Leadership Programme last year, and that has been a big part in the development of my career over the past 18 months. I'd say there's 3 core values, core themes that drive me and drive the kind of decision making that I make as a leader, and the decisions that I make in terms of the roles and things that I take up. So the first one is sustainability. As Ivor mentioned, I'm very interested in and invested in green issues, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, I think. But sustainability, both the sustainability of journalism and local journalism in particular, its financial sustainability, but also its sustainability on a much wider basis. How do we, as journalists, contribute to sustainability, to green issues, and to sustainable communities? And then I guess the next point on from that is around impact. So I really feel as journalists that that we can and do make a real difference to people's lives, and we make a real difference to wider society. And so making sure that whatever we do as journalists is kind of resulting in a real life impact for people is something that that is really important to me. And then the final thing is around positivity, fostering, developing happy teams, ensuring that we have actionable journalism that makes a positive difference to people, embracing change in a really positive way, because it's nothing in this industry if there's not change. We're changing all the time and we need to embrace it, taking a positive approach towards innovation. So all of that is a kind of at the core of what drives me. And yes, as Ivor said, I've got a Substack, The Happy Journalist, which is about really taking a positive outlook on what's happening in journalism. I guess particularly focused on the local and regional news space within the UK, but also looking at examples from across the world where there are some really positive things being done within journalism and within different markets.
Thank you, Jacqui. Ghada, if we can quickly get back to you, and I've got a million questions that will fit into the next 15 minutes. You're very clear that you're not just a leader, you play a role as a team member, and that's very important to you, contributing to a live news program at AlMamlakaTV in Jordan. How do you view the media significance in building bridges and promoting understanding among diverse communities within the Jordanian context?
Yes, indeed. Thank you for highlighting this, Ivor. I am a team member, and we usually work together in the newsroom. So the output for everyone who's worked in that industry, the final outcome is really a work of a lot of people, starting from the interview desk to the people who are collecting the content, to the editors, to the people who are working on the editing, and then finally reaching the screen after many phases. However, there is one common thing when we talk always about, which is the bridging that you just mentioned and the news value that we are looking for. And the news value is usually a never-ending debate and a never-ending conversation among the team members and among the people who are working on the level of the implementation within the newsroom. However, if I want to shift back about the term itself, when we talk about bridging the gaps, it really goes behind in the mentality and the mindset of those organizations. So if we look in about the basic terms, we want to aim for promoting inclusive narratives regarding the whole audience, and also we want to encourage dialogue. I want to give a little back of history and context towards that. When we talk about Jordan, we talk about a small country in general from the geographical aspect. However, the complexity level was not really highlighted or understood by those media organizations until lately, especially after the rise of the social media and the digital platforms. So the mentality and the mindset itself was focusing on a specific kind of direction, and mostly from the capital of Amman, because it's the capital city in Jordan. However, when you look about that, it's the 5% of the whole Jordan. So it doesn't really reflect the identity and the diversity in the community, which led, honestly, for some lack of inclusivity in the content. This is something that we have paid attention to lately, and I think not only us as AlMamlaka, but when I talk about the industry. And the reason of that is that the growth in the population in Jordan has significantly risen suddenly due to to the rise in refugees number, according to several crises. And because we live in a heated region, we're just in the middle of that heated region. It's like in the eye of the hurricane. And every now and then we have new people who are being hosted as refugees by Jordan. However, getting back to that point, I believe the key in bridging that gap and tackle that level of different complexities within any community, whether it's in Jordan or other, maybe ours is less complicated than other contexts, especially when you talk about the Levant countries like Lebanon and Iraq. They have a much higher level of complexity, especially because they have religion within with that mix. So I do believe that our role should focus on promoting the inclusive narrative, because we can help in promoting that narratives that are inclusive and representative of a diverse community within Jordan. However, this happens by providing the platform to different voices to be heard. Adding to that, when we talk about encouraging the dialogue, the media platforms can facilitate dialogue and discussions between different groups, allowing for the exchange of ideas, exchange of viewpoints, perspective. This can help in addressing misunderstanding, conflicts, paving the way for peaceful coexistence and social cohesion. And this is something that has been really out in the headlines here in Jordan, especially with those crises surrounding the community, and also the numbers that are rising. When you try to get closer those narratives together, you can really bridge the gap. However, this kind of process does not happen overnight, and the strategy towards that is not easy, because those media organizations needs to understand themselves before really approaching this narrative. And there are a lot of tools that can be used. Some of them that we've used and tried and worked perfectly. Others really did not show the specific functionality that we needed. I can really elaborate more on that, but this might be a long answer to your first question.
No, it's a great answer, and I'm wondering how Nata is doing it in a diverse market operating across 7 different countries. What strategies, Nata, have you employed to navigate those markets, and how have these approaches perhaps shaped your leadership perspectives within the organization?
So on the local level, it's very easy. You know, Georgia is a small country, and it's very easy to engage different communities and different types of people. You just need creativity. And for us, it's very easy because we do not consider storytelling method just video or text, which are a traditional one, but also we frequently organize some events, workshops, even exhibitions. For instance, today is the final day and closing event of our huge exhibition. It is a final event which is dedicated to one of the occupied territory and the conflict, which is very boring topic, but we managed to create multimedia exhibition, and as a result of 2 years work on this conflict. So we try to communicate with different audiences and to select the most relevant storytelling method. As for an international level, it's very difficult for us because sometimes I feel like isolated, because most of the Georgian media, not only us but others as well, create content in Georgian, which means that this language is spoken only 3-4 million people all over the world. So no one understands us except of Georgians. So, and it's very expensive for us to translate this whole content in English. So, however, we have the creative works, very brilliant scholars, very brilliant works, but it's very difficult for us to reach these wide audiences. That's why, and another point is that all programs and some conferences are organized only for Eastern European countries, like Eastern Partnership countries, and it's very boring for us because it's the same environment and we know what's going on there. And we are not eligible to take part in international programs. And I think this is the problem. That's why I really appreciated the program we participated in, because it was a really chance to communicate the new world. And this program gained me more confidence. You know, now I feel that I had the solid background because prior to this program, I had my observations, I have my prospects, I have my ideas, and this program led me to check it and led me to understand that I am part of this news industry, and it led me to think globally. And I really understand that I am part of the news industry. And that's why I decided that if there is a gap and if there is a free niche for Georgian media, why should I not take it? So that's why I decided to translate our magazine and ship to these 7 countries. And of course, I need more resources for marketing to reach this audience. But since it is very attractive for advertisers, I pay all the cost of this production. And it was very interesting for Georgian companies to have this platform for abroad. So I used this chance to gain revenue through this in English language magazine, which is really interesting because, for example, first issue was dedicated to Russian phenomena, and it is a perspective from Caucasus to the West, not vice versa, as we always happens. So that's why I think that we have huge potential, but unfortunately, due to lack of resources, we do not use this opportunity, and we can do more to reach wider audience.
So we've got about 9 minutes left, but Jacqui, you're not just the happy journalist or the green chair today. You're also the co-convener of the JILeaders Climate Thinking Doing Group. And I'm wondering if you want to share some of the leadership perspectives that you've encountered in this journey, specifically as it pertains to the green issues.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I mean, I think we've done a lot of, we've convened a lot of brilliant minds in sustainability and green issues on that group to talk about and discuss and think about putting together some actions around what we can do for sustainability and climate issues across the journalism space. I think in some respects the climate issue is one that can be treated like other news stories. And I say that because, you know, ultimately as journalists, we're there to inform, to educate, to entertain. We would do all of those things when it comes to climate journalism, as we would with any other story. Making that issue relevant to people's daily lives is something that's incredibly important when it comes to climate, and is not always straightforward to do. But just like any other journalism news story, you have to make it relevant to people's daily lives for it to be engaging. Actually, here at Mail Metro Media, there was a piece of research quite recently they did around it's called Shades of Green, and it looked at what people's attitudes are towards climate issues. Found that 78% of people think that climate is important, think that the climate change, the climate crisis is important. Only 4% of people think it's the very top thing on their agenda. So in other respects, you've got to find different ways to get that message across to the audience, because it's not top of most people's agenda, and yet it's important and relevant in everyone's lives. So with that, I think making sure that you can find ways to deliver the climate message through lots of different types of content, to get across to people that it impacts kind of every area, whether it's sport, whether it's entertainment, whether it's finance, whether it's business. Climate runs across all those things. It's not a silo story over here. And also it's a kind of long running, slow moving news story that, you know, the media gets excited about when there's particular events happening, and it's quite hard to translate that into something that can get people interested day to day. So I think all of those discussions are discussions that we've been having as part of the thinking doing group, and finding ways in which we can take some of those learnings and apply them to the wider journalism industry, I think, is a work in progress.
Ghada, I'm sure as a news anchor you can do it in a minute. What leadership challenges do journalists in Jordan currently encounter? Are there strategies that you are together co-creating to navigate those challenges?
I can do it in a minute, but believe me, they gave me 2 hours live because I can speak a lot and I talk for a long time. So there was a reason for that. I will try to summarize as much as possible. I think there are many shared factors globally when we talk about journalism and media that are really forming a challenge for the media and journalists around the world. However, in the context of Jordan, a global issue that we are really facing in regaining the trust of the audience as the source of information. this is really a main challenge that is rising more and more. There is so much crowding in the media scene and space, and the definition of media and journalism is lost, that we are getting confused ourselves sometimes between the influencers, the activists, the citizens who are becoming a journalist themselves and building up on that with the conspiracy theory about those media organizations that are either led or directed or controlled because of the environment, the funding, whatever factor, you name it. The second thing, main challenge I think that we're facing is the ban on publishing. You suddenly find a decision by the prosecutor in general in Jordan's capital Amman issuing a ban on a controversial case, whether it's a public opinion, whether it's a social, political, anything. And this has been happening a lot in the past years. This really reflects back on us, and it contributes more to the lack of trust from the audience in the media, because it strips the media from its role, and at the end of the day, the people and the receiver audience would think that you are not a source and you cannot really package the narrative in a way that they can digest in response to their need. In the last half of a minute, I would say the laws and legislation amendments, especially the recent ones on the cybercrime cyber crimes laws, the definition of freedom of speech, it's really being interpreted in the law about personality assassination and anything that's harming national security. The press and publication law has been amended several times, which led to censorship over news and websites for each amendment. So we're facing a lot of challenge in that regard, and it's really restraining us not only on our public platforms or broadcasting platform, it's even restraining us because you're labeled as a journalist and a media person even on our personal accounts. And there has been several cases lately. More than a minute, sorry.
Let's end with two of the questions that came in on the chat. I think it's Mike Findley directing a question to you, Nata. How do you go about sourcing, finding these journalists, this pool of freelancers? Do you offer them competitive payment? And just your closing remarks, all in one, in a Georgian minute over there.
So just briefly, we do not looking for only professional journalists, but also researchers, artists, creators, videographers. So of course we pay them. But we pay for paid project, not salary, regular salary for months. And we select this type of managing style because we did not have the resource to have everyone in our staff. So it was a solution for us within this lack of resources. Another way to find new talents in the industry is that we open a school for free for content creators. We do not call it journalists, we call it content creators, and let even illustrators, videographers, video editors, so all newcomers are coming with us and work for 3 months. They learn basic principles of the storytelling, and best of them are involved in the paid projects then.
Jacqui, the last question there from David, asking about the relationship between sustainability of local journalism and environmental sustainability. How would you describe that relationship in a nutshell? In a UK minute.
I could describe it in a UK 2 words perhaps, and I think that's kind of, for me, that's positive contribution. So making a positive contribution to communities, making a positive contribution to lead people through what is a kind of education journey around what's happening in climate, and for some people that's directly impacting their day-to-day lives. For some people that feels like it's further away, but as long as the media we are making a positive contribution and a difference to people's lives, and showing and showing what can be done, actionable journalism, what can be done to help the climate. I think it feels as though those two things can work in tandem, and there is a very strong relationship there. But we need to go about it in the right way.
Absolutely incredible. Thanks. You're an optimistic bunch, and dare I say even a happy bunch. Many people don't believe that journalists these days can be happy. Look at us. Thank you, Jacqui Merrington, Ghada, Ibrahim, and Nata, all the way from Georgia. Back to you, Francois.